What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of the Hangout Spot Live. I'm your host, Johnny, and we are here live and direct from the man cave here. And I'm excited, man. I'm excited because tonight we officially cut the red tape, man, and we open up shop. And this is something that I've been wanting to do for quite some time. I was kind of waiting to get over 1,000 subscribers, and we've gotten there. So I just want to thank everybody, for their continued support. And it's only up from here, man. It's only up from here. But yeah, we're gonna try to rock out, every week, twice a week. Right now, we're shooting for Tuesday nights, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're gonna shoot for Thursdays, and same time, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And it's really not gonna change much of the content that I've been putting together on recorded video. I mean, we're gonna be doing pre-fight breakdowns. We're gonna be doing fight recaps. We're gonna be doing interviews. I'm still gonna be out in the field doing fights, doing live media, and I'm gonna be doing some live interviews with fighters and trainers. But we're gonna also try to get some fighters to come on here onto this platform, onto the live platform, so that we can do it up, do some interviews. We can get the chat going, and we can actually have the viewers provide their perspective or ask some questions and things of that nature. And we're looking at getting fighters, we're looking at getting trainers, anybody in or around the boxing community, man, promoters, cut man. I mean, it really, really doesn't matter. So, like I said, it doesn't change. Another thing that I want to do, every show is I want to have, co-hosts, fellow podcasters in the boxing world that I'm very, very close to, that are extremely knowledgeable and passionate about what they do. I want to have them jump on here as well and give their perspectives on the many, many different boxing topics that are going to be popping up week in and week out. And it's been a little bit of a dead period the last couple of weeks with fights, but it's going to start picking up very, very quickly in the month of December. And today, in a little while, I'm going to have a special guest. His name is Cesar Seda. He's from the YouTube channel, Boxeo Urbano Network, which is one of the biggest boxing podcasts on YouTube. It's a Spanish-speaking podcast, and him and his co-host, Anderson Perez, they do a tremendous job not just breaking down any fights and any fighters, but they really specialize in the Spanish fighters. And that's why I wanted to get them on board, because this weekend, we got a lot of different activity. We got some fights that are going on in Puerto Rico. We got some fights that are going on in Phoenix. A couple weeks ago, we just got the announcement that David Benavidez is going to be fighting against David Morrell, a fight that we all want. Well, at least I wanted to see at 168. This fight is now going to be taking place at 175. Two undefeated guys in their prime. I think it's a tremendous fight. And Cesar has been, involved in both fight camps. So Cesar's a beast, man. I mean, this guy is almost at every other fight card. I mean, there isn't anything around Spanish fighters that he doesn't know about. He's developed relationship with fighters, out there, Spanish fighters in particular. So I wanted to bend his ear because I know that he's been, talking to both sides of the camp. He was actually at the press conference live, and he was also backstage when they did their face-off in the green room. And if you saw that on YouTube or on video or wherever it was, you saw that they had some back and forth words. So some animosity there. So I kind of want to bend his ear and get his thoughts around that, because there's a lot of people in the boxing community that either like this fight or they don't like this fight. So I want to get his perspective on it. I know he's a big David Morrell guy. So, that's why I wanted him to get him here. And then, of course, obviously, I want his take on some of the fights that are happening this weekend, mainly. So we'll kind of break that down, and he will be on with us in about 10, 15 minutes. But yeah, man, this is how we're going to do it up. I do have some ground rules, though. I do have some ground rules, man. First and foremost, please smash that like button. Is it going to help? If you hit that like button, I'm sure it's going to help with the visibility of the channel. So we want to get, this channel out there. We want to get people buzzing and talking about it, and making sure that we get it in the eyes of fight fans out there, so that they know that the Hangout Spot is going to be rocking out on live shows, every single week. But definitely smash that like button, and also make sure you share. Tell a friend to tell a friend. We need more subscribers if we're going to continue to get this train rolling. and continue to move in the right direction. We're looking at a very, very strong 2025 season. 2024, we made our mark here in the Hangout Spot. 2025, man, I'm looking to take this to the next level. So, and I'm not going to be able to do it without your support and, making sure that we get the word out there. So make sure you tell a friend and tell a friend, to subscribe to the channel. And then last but not least, most importantly, if you're watching the live show, I definitely want you to get involved in the chat, man. Definitely chime in, spread your voice, talk about your opinions, talk to each other on the chat. I definitely want to make sure, that this is a space where we could just talk about boxing, have a good time doing it, and kind of share our thoughts amongst the entire boxing community. So definitely go out there and make sure you are active in the chat. Those are my rules. Those are my rules, man. But like I said, thank you for joining me here today. Lots to talk about before we get into some of the fights, that I want to get into. What I want to talk about briefly before Cesar comes on is today, was the press conference between Gervonta Tank Davis and Lamont Roach. Obviously, that fight was made official. It's going to be going down. There are I can't speak for all fight fans, but I can only speak for myself. And I've made this very, very clear on videos in the past. I'm not happy about this fight, and it has nothing to do with Lamont Roach. Lamont Roach is a champion at 130. He's moving up in weight to challenge arguably the best lightweight, at 135, definitely the hardest hitter at 135 in Gervonta Tank Davis. So I'm not mad at Lamont Roach, and he's going to get a bag, in this fight. Obviously, this is going to be a fight that's going to be streamed on pay-per-view. It's going to be going down at Barclays Center in Brooklyn, which used to be my second home when I lived in the Northeast. Beautiful venue. I'm sure people are going to come out. It's going to be a tremendous buzz on fight night. But again, the main event just doesn't have me buzzing right now, and I was hoping during this press conference that there was something that went down, that really pulled me in and said, okay, maybe I could be a little bit interested in this fight. But, it was a typical Gervonta Tank Davis, press conference. Gervonta Tank Davis is a pretty reserved guy when he gets into these press conferences. He's not a big talker, but it looks like when he gets in there, there's something that he needs to trigger him, to kind of get him going, to get him talking trash, to kind of get him into the mode where he's ready to destroy his opponent. And that's exactly what happened in this press conference. There were some fans, on Lamont Roach's side that I guess were chirping and talking some crap. And, Gervonta Davis got up and was challenging them, to bet $100,000, which, again, I don't know the proper verbiage of what was going on, but again, that seemed to have kind of riled him up a little bit. But, Lamont Roach, a very, very reserved guy as well. So there wasn't really a lot of trash talk amongst each other. And the face-off didn't really produce any kind of fireworks whatsoever. Hopefully, maybe we get a little bit more fireworks in that next face-off. I believe they're going to do that in their area. Both guys are from the Baltimore, D.C., Maryland area. So I'm hoping that, something pops off a little bit more to get me a little bit more excited about this, because at the end of the day, I just feel like this is a movie that I've seen before. And I'm not a big fan on reruns, man. I just, if I see a movie and it's whether it's good or not, I'm not interested in seeing it again. And to me, this is the same movie that I've seen in the past with Gervonta Tank Davis. And that's my biggest beef with Tank Davis. I'm a Tank Davis guy. I mean, he's a special talent, but, fact remains that a lot of people question his resume, and that's his fault. He's 30 years old. He still hasn't unified a division, and there's still questions about whether, he's going to fight, the big names, especially guys in this division. And this is why I don't like this fight with Lamont Roach. This is yet another guy who who's moving up in weight, a smaller guy, technically, and we've seen this with, Hector Luis Garcia. I just think that at the end of the day, this is going to be a carbon copy of what we saw in that fight against Garcia, what we saw against Lamont Roach. I'm sorry, against Frank Martin. Frank Martin was the last opponent that Tank actually fought and stopped. I think this is going to be the same thing, man. I think that Lamont Roach will probably cook a little bit, in the early rounds. And then, Tank is going to do what Tank does in typical Tank fashion. He's going to download data, because Tank, again, his boxing skills are extremely underrated. I mean, if you really look at his record, a lot of fight fans are going to think that he's just a power puncher, and he packs a mean punch. He's probably he's definitely the hardest hitting lightweight in that division. But I mean, this guy hits like a welterweight, man. He hits like a 147 pounder. He's not a big guy, in stature, but he packs a mean punch, but at the end of the day, I think his boxing ability is very, very underrated, man. He's a very, very smart guy in the ring. He will set traps and he'll take advantage of those openings. The problem with him taking advantage of those openings is when he hits you, I mean, there's a lot of force coming behind those left hands, so, and I think that's what's going to happen in this fight. I think that, I'm looking at, a late round, 7th, 8th round stoppage. I know he had said in the presser today that he expects to take Lamont Roach out, in the 9th round, that he wouldn't go beyond 10 rounds. I don't think that it goes that far either. I think around the 7th round is where we get a stoppage. And like I said, I mean, I've seen this before. My thing with Tank, and this is what I told people, when I was, co-host on the Boxing Voice panel, last week, and shout out to Nesta Gibbs and the Boxing Voice. I mean, those are my peoples, man, but is that it's okay to criticize your favorite fighter. It's okay to be hard on them because we want better. And like I said, I don't hate Tank, but I hate the way he moves, especially at this point in his career, man. I mean, I expect more. I expect better fights. I mean, you have arguably the second best, if people want to go back and forth on who the best lightweight is, with Shakur Stevenson, who's a very accomplished fighter, who's unified the division below him. I mean, this is the fight that needs to be made. This is the fight that fight fans want to see, him against Shakur Stevenson, him against Devin Haney. And I know, obviously the timing for that fight isn't right. Devin Haney coming off, a loss, even though the loss was taken off his record. I don't see them fighting anytime soon, but, you got Teofimo Lopez as well. He's a division above at 140. I don't know, where they would potentially meet, but that's a fight, in my opinion, that has been looming for quite some time. A big money fight. Teofimo doesn't have an opponent. So at the end of the day, that was a makeable fight, a fight that I think, puts Tank in a position where now people can say he's finally got an opponent that we all feel has a realistic shot at beating him. Because that is the thing that I've thrown out to other boxing fans. Like, as good as Tank Davis is, has he ever fought anybody who we realistically would feel maybe this guy has a chance to beat him? I don't believe so. And I know that Tank has fought former champions and guys that have went on to be champions, tough guys. But at the end of it, I'll stick by it. Beside all those champions aside, I mean, the big name, in my opinion, that he's the biggest challenge is from a former. It's from a guy that's never won a championship, which is Ryan Garcia. You know what I'm saying? And we all know the story about that whole deal with the whole weight drain. Now, he did say some interesting things today at the press conference, or after the press conference, about possibly retiring. And that kind of took me by surprise because, again, he's 30 years old, and there's just so many big fights for him out there. We all know that Tank arguably is one of the faces of boxing and one of boxing's cash cows. So it was kind of interesting to see that. And I know there's some people that are commenting out there, like, is it real? Because, I mean, retirement and boxers, I mean, it's it's not a good mix, man. I mean, how many times have we heard boxers say they want to retire and then they don't retire, or they retire and then they unretire? I mean, it's almost like you can't really believe a boxer when they say that they're going to retire until they retire and then we never see them again. You know what I'm saying? And even in this day and age, they'll pop up on exhibition fights and here and there. So they don't totally disappear. But at the end of the day, we're talking about a 30-year-old, that has, a fantastic career ahead of him if he challenges himself to be great. And that's my biggest thing. Like, I want to see Tank in there against the Shakur Stevensons, against the Teofimo Lopez, even Keyshawn Davis. Keyshawn Davis called him out. And I know a lot of people will question, Keyshawn doesn't have the type of experience, yet to beat a fighter like Tank. But I love his last fight against Lemos, stopping Lemos in grand fashion at home, in front of his home, with a lot of pressure that fighters face when they face, opponents in front of their friends, in front of their family. They have that pressure to go out there and shell out. And I think he did a fantastic job of just channeling all that energy and just taking it out on his opponent and finishing. Limo's a tough guy. And then you saw after the fight, he's calling Gervonta Tank Davis out. So, even that, I like, I would prefer that Tank Davis takes a fight with Keyshawn Davis, as opposed to a guy like Lamont Roach. That's just my personal opinion. Like I said, I'm not a Tank hater, but at the end of the day, I just expect more. But I was shocked, like I said, that he realistically said that he just wants to fight 3 more times in 2025 and then call it a wrap. He did say after the fight when he was being interviewed that, he wants to potentially look at another fight with Ryan Garcia. And that's no surprise there, in my opinion, because he made a bag doing that. So if he wants to make that type of money, going forward, it's going to have to be, a name of that caliber. I mean, a big name like Ryan Garcia that can help him co-promote and carry that, because it takes 2 to tango, right? A lot of people say, that these fighters, Canelo, Tank are big money draws. Yeah, they're going to carry the majority of it, but they still need some type of a dance partner, in my opinion, that at least intrigues people. So fighting Ryan Garcia from a money perspective, I guess makes sense to him. I don't like the way they did the whole rehydration and weight thing, the last fight. So if they do happen to get it on, we know Ryan's a big guy, Tank's a smaller guy. So are there similar clauses in there? I don't think Ryan is stupid enough to fight Tank again with those type of clauses. And I'd be interesting to see if there aren't any clauses and they meet up at a weight or whatever, a contracted weight. Is the result different? Is it different? I don't believe so on the surface. I think Tank, like I said, is just too good of a talent who's going to exploit a lot of Ryan Garcia's weaknesses. But at the end of the day, you can't fault Tank from a money perspective, because if you look at it, even the Shakur Stevensons and the Teofimo Lopez's and the Keyshawn Davis and those guys, nobody's really going to generate that type of a buzz that could potentially make him, $30-40 million, like Ryan Garcia. So he did mention Ryan Garcia again, not shocking, but and he did say something about Teofimo Lopez, possibly being one of those guys. Obviously, Lamont Roach will be first out of that 3-fight list. But if that's true and he only has 3 fights left, that's very, very disappointing to me, because like I said, at the end of the day, where's Shakur? When they talked to him about Shakur, it seemed like he upset. Like, what's Shakur done to earn a fight with me? And at the end of the day, I think he's more than qualified. I think he's done a lot in the sport of boxing to earn it. People want to see it. Stylistically, I think it would be a very, very intriguing matchup. You got the puncher against the boxer and the defensive guy. So, a lot of things there. But again, I'm not excited about this fight. The press conference today really, really didn't excite me and make me any more exciting. But as we get closer to it, let's see what happens. But anyhow, like I said, I want to get into a lot of the boxing. There's a lot of boxing going on this weekend. I'm excited about it because we've had, like I said earlier, a gap the last few weeks with no real boxing. So this is going to bring us back to where we were, in the months before that. And then I'm really, really excited about this David Benavidez, David Morrell fight. And this is why I wanted to have my boy Cesar on, because like I said, his pulse is all over it. So without further ado, I want to bring in my brother, Cesar Seda from Boxeo Urbano.
Going on, brother? How you doing? How you doing, Johnny? Talk to me, bro.
I am good, my man. I am good. Welcome to the Hangout Spot, man. It's good to have you here.
It's good to be here. It's good to be here. It's good to see this the Hangout place growing and doing good for boxing. It's always needed. Some more boys out there doing great things for boxing. Yes, sir.
No, man, I appreciate it. I know you're feeling a little bit under the weather today, so thank you for jumping on. And yeah, man, I mean, I know we've met at a couple of fight cards. I appreciate everything you've done for me so far, man. I consider you one of my mentors out there, right? I mean, because you make it happen out there. You've been doing this for a ton of years. You have the experiences, you have the contacts. I know when we spoke at length, you gave me a lot of advice, on how to kind of maneuver here, both from a social media standpoint and, in live boxing events with fighters and trainers. So I just want to thank you for that. I will always consider one of my mentors. And you know your stuff. And when it comes to Spanish fighters, man, there is nobody that's all over it more than my man Cesar, bro. I mean, he is involved in everything. He is everywhere, including his finger on the pulse with this whole David Benavidez and David Morrell fight, which personally, I mean, I'm excited about it. It's going down Saturday, February 1st, in Las Vegas, T-Mobile Arena. And Cesar, this is a fight that I know that you are very, very much invested in. You know, you were on the Boxing Voice. There was extensive dialogue around, you know, what not just what could potentially happen in this fight, but was it the right time for these guys to fight? Because obviously there's some questions. David Benavidez, 29-0, with 24 knockouts. Both guys this is their second fight at light heavyweight at 175. These guys were in a collision course at 168 to fight each other. It didn't happen. Okay, David Benavidez moved up first, and then you had Morrell that followed him. There's been a lot of questions about both of their performances at 175. They both won, but I guess people were expecting what they saw at 168, right? The dominance at 168, when in fact it's not fair. This is a newer weight class, bigger guys, harder punchers. I thought both of them carried themselves fairly well, and now here we are. And then you got David Morrell, right? The Cuban sensation, who a lot of people question his experience. You know, only 11 wins, 9 by knockout, so he packs a serious punch. But what a lot of people don't know is he has an extensive amateur background, and that kind of lacks for that professional experience. They're both 20, you know, in their prime of their career. I think it's a perfect time for it to happen. But a lot of people are saying that Morrell's not ready. What do you say about Morrell's experience going into this fight?
Morrell experience, we have to keep it real. You know, we have to keep it real. It's always going to be the doubt until he proves himself in the ring. You know, it's always going to be the doubt to see if the experience is going to take place, or if what is going to take place during the fight. Who going to make the mistake? They both young. They both at the right time to make this happen. And on Morrell experience, I think that that 175 pounds debut give him a lot of experience, believe it or not, because he bring the amateur experience, and he bring the great boxing of the Cuban school, you know, of boxing. But he needed that experience to see what he did wrong, you know, coming up to these, you know, and I think he learned a lot from that one. So that give him that edge of experience to Benavidez, no matter what, because of what he faced already, and because he been in that big stage already and all that. But this is boxing, brother, and you see the Lomachenkos of the life coming from amateur and doing great things. You know, these days you seen the Keyshawn Davis, for instance. You know, it's not that he got this many fights and he already going for the championship. So, so what we can say, you know, I know Morrell is the better boxer. They both got power. What we don't know is how Morrell can take the Benavidez power. That's what we don't know yet. That's the only questioning for me in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, again, you know, I applaud, you know, David Morrell for continuing to pursue this fight. Like I said, it looked like he wanted it at 168, and David moving up didn't deter him. You know, he moved up as well. They're both big guys, so I think they're going to fill in very, very well at 175. I'm not too worried about that. But yeah, I mean, listen, if I had to be honest, I would say that out of the two, I was a lot more impressed with David's performance against Valdez than I was with Morrell's against Hot Rods. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? Because you got two different styles. And of course, when they come in, there's going to be, you know, contrasting styles as well. But at the end of the day, though, I don't know. I mean, because I remember you saying on the Boxing Voice that you would have preferred that they marinate this fight a little bit more before they fought. Do you still feel that way?
No, not now. Now I'm ready to see it. You know, I want to see it before, and I was the first one who asked Stephen Espinoza in a press conference almost 3 years ago, but when Ugas fought Spence in Texas. What about this fight? And he said it was the Benavidez was there in the press conference, and and then he said we got it marinated. And look, we here. almost 3 years later. It's gonna be like 2 months short for that 3 years. But let me tell you a story about this. And I got a video on it. The only thing is that they told me cut it because in the video you can see what they're gonna make. The money that they're gonna make on this one. And they told me cut that. Don't record it. Samson Lekowicz, years ago, when Morrell got to the States, he told Samson, "Hey, look, I want your guy. I want you the promoter of Benavidez. I want him." And Samson told him, "There's no money now for this fight because you just coming here. You just got about 2 fights." But the whole story started in Mexico. When Morrell was in Mexico waiting to come to the States, they told him one day to pack and that he was going to go sparring with this guy. And the guy was Benavidez. But then somebody told them, don't do it, the Benavidez, because the guy was coming to the States and that they was probably going to be facing each other sooner than later. So they throw him under the bus and he feel bad about it. They was talking about this Benavidez guy. And when it was about to happen, well, they didn't see each other. Then the first time they see each other after that was in Dallas when Ugas Spins. I got the video and the pictures and all that. I've been telling people like Morrell is bigger than him, and people don't believe me. I was like, I got everything. So, but it comes from Mexico. This comes years ago that they've been looking for each other and they've been talking shit to each other, and so now I think it's a great time. I believe it's a great time for this to happen.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say that, because you fast forward to the press conference, and I know that you were there, and I was a little confused because sometimes these guys look like they're a little cordial with each other, but then the next thing, they kind of go at it, in the area with the green screen. I know you were there as well when they were doing like the video recording, the face to face, and that got a little that got a little saucy right there and testy. And then obviously you got David Benavidez is talking about David Morrell talking shit. Now he wants to break his jaw. So are these guys respectful? Are they friends, or do they really not like each other?
They don't like each other. They don't like each other. They got respect for each other. But and the Benavidez family, they great people. Benavidez dad, great people. They like everything by the book, and the dad take care of everything. The dad is running the thing, and but in reality, they want to fight. They wanted to fight, and Benavidez got some anger management problems. That's been known forever, right? And Morrell, coming from Cuba, he know how to get the anger out of him, So that's what happened in that. Really, people didn't saw the whole thing. Just like all the cell phones came out when after like 100,000 takes of the face each other and all that, they was recording that. But at one point, they said, "Hey, get serious, look at each other serious and all that." And then Morrell started laughing. And then, hold on, cut it. And they couldn't make it, right? So in one of the takes, Morrell finally got serious, and then Benavidez got mad. And that's when everything exploded. And that's when the cell phones really came out. And everybody start recording, and even the technicians of the lights and the cameras and all that, they put out their cell phones, and the people from PBC start running in and getting everything, and then it came spontaneous, it came like a quick, and that went viral, but that took like probably about 30 minutes before it was all kind of takes. These jokers went all day preparing everything in there, because that theater was made like a whole studio TV everywhere. Like they recorded, I don't know, like probably 20 interviews and social media and all kind of stuff for only for Prime Video and for other people, that it was already set, all the sets done in there. Basically what we're gonna see on TV that day for the pay-per-view, it was already done in there. It's great. These people work great. That's what I've been explaining. A lot of people that thinking that PBC is done and this and that and do. And I was telling, look, it's not that. It's that Amazon Prime want to do the right thing. They want to bring the right crews and all this to do this great production. They into boxing. Amazon Prime into boxing. They just want to get the right production, and that take time because they just took a contract to do NBA, to do Major League Baseball, to do football, and all that take all those really good crews that they want to do. So they've been preparing a cruise to do boxing, to take care of boxing, and so in 2025, it's gonna be a lot of boxing. You have to be ready because the Caribe Royale over there in Orlando is coming. They love that place. They love that place. So February is a card in there. So the people that are watching it here, go and tell the other people. February between Benavidez and Morrell and Tank and Lamont Roach is going to be a card in there too in between to promote a lot of the stuff that is coming only for the first semester of the year. So they gearing until Canelo again, in May and all that. So those who say no, PBC is done, I don't think so. You're probably gonna be for a rude awakening.
No, you bring up a good point because they have been criticized for their lack of putting together these consistent cards, right? And I'm going to chalk up 2024 as a down year. I'm expecting a bigger and better year in 2025, and like you said, they're starting off, with a few cards in the first quarter. Shout out to Caribe Royale, that's like a second home. And you're right, man. Boxing is popping there, man. I mean, what we got? The WBA convention, next
December
weekend.
13th. Yep.
I'm sure you're gonna be there. I will be live, at the fight, on the 13th. There's a good card that they are going to be putting together. Caribbean Royale, Box Lab, and Most Valuable Promotions. I mean, Box Lab Promotions, they're like a second family to me. Giving me opportunities to cover fights. So shout out to them. I know you have a very, very close relationship with Box Lab as well. Shout out to my brother Jacob. I appreciate you watching the stream. My brother Jay Calderon at Fight Hook News. Appreciate the support, brother. But yeah, at the end of the day, like I said, I like this fight, and as you know, sometimes I jump on as a co-host on the panel, The Boxing Voice, and the community is they're mixed. A lot of people are shitting on this fight because they just don't feel Morrell is ready. I disagree. I think that he's ready. I don't know if I'll pick him to win. I know that you're probably going to pick him to win. How do you see this fight ending?
Morrell gonna stop him.
You think Morrell stops him?
Morrell ain't gonna knock him out. Not gonna probably no. I don't think he's gonna knock out. He's gonna stop him. Either stop him or he gonna get some pain, because the only thing that I don't think Benavidez got nothing to change the fight on his side with power, but I think that Morrell's boxing and accuracy and all the other stuff is gonna pay, like Benavidez is gonna pay all night, and it's gonna be probably I think between 8 and 10 rounds of good boxing, but it's gonna open it's gonna be first few rounds, checking each other, but then 3, 4, 5 rounds is gonna be starting open, and then by the time the 8th round's coming, now you're gonna see Benavidez hurting until probably either the corner stop it or the ref stop it or somebody stop it. But wow, that's how I see it. That's how I see it.
I hear that, and if that happens, Cesar, you got to go on a little bit of a victory tour, man. Because there's a lot of people doubting Morrell. There's a lot of people doubting you.
Recording. all the motherfuckers in the boxing boys, they just haters. They just haters. Them motherfuckers hate Hispanic boxing, and we taking over this motherfucker, and they don't understand it until they see Morrell whooping that ass, and then they gonna start understanding. Then they bring everybody who they want to bring. Morrell gonna line them up and fuck them all up, and Andy Cruz gonna line them up and fuck them all up, and that's gonna be it. That's gonna be it.
We got Brig Johnson. Shout out to you, brother. Morrell will gas out after 6 rounds. Okay. All right.
Brig Johnson.
Caesar.
Brig Johnson don't know that Morrell. You see how Morrell looked in the press conference. He looked like he did a pre-workout, a pre-camp, and now he's getting ready to like gear up. That yoga ain't gonna get. He never get tired. He never get tired. He gets stronger by the round passing. But I always said in boxing, anything can happen, but on this one, and I said in my program in Spanish, I never miss the big ones. The big ones, I know how to look at the big ones, and this is a big fight, and the big ones, I always got that clinic eye that say, this is it. And I've been saying it forever, but when Lomachenko, is a video out there, when Lomachenko fought Teofimo Lopez, I explained how the fight was going to go. It was one of my first streaming because, streaming came up with the pandemic. People don't understand the sequencing here. People think that this streaming has been 20 years. No, this has been like 4 years, 3-4 years. Pandemic to here, right? And one of my first streaming, when we changed to this thing, it was Teofimo and Lomachenko. Not the first one, but one of the first ones. And because it was Valdez and Bercher and a couple of people, but in the different fights. But Lomachenko and Teofimo, I said exactly like it was going to happen, and how being there without a crowd was going to affect the fight and all that, and this and that. One thing that can affect Morrell, but I think he learned it in the last fight, is that Morrell like to show out. He get excited in there, and the fans and all that. So he learned that he cannot get comfortable with the crowd. Help Morrell. It's like he like it, and then he gets stronger and all that. But that also can be a big factor. If he get too comfortable with a guy like Benavidez. So I can tell you, but those are things that in an interview that we did with him after that last fight, right after in the locker room, he brought that up right away. He said, I learned from this one, I learned it and all that. And so, and I've been telling them, Kalaxic told him, I go and do a sparring with you for Benavidez, and you beat me fair and square and all that. So the only crazy dude is your boy Ness, my boy Ness also. That thing that Kalaxic win, but his bias on that one, so doesn't matter.
Yeah, Ness definitely sticks with that. And that was a big platform for Morrell, though. And that was a Riyadh season card. I mean, it was in Los Angeles. It was the first one that Riyadh did in the United States. So huge platform there. We got Luis Rodriguez that says Benavidez wins by decision. We got Brig Johnson again. Benavidez has a lot more ring IQ, more combos, more accuracy. I do know that that Benavidez does have a lot of hand speed, especially at the 175 division. But again, a lot of that stuff can be neutralized. Benavidez 29-0, 27 years old. Morrell's 26, 11 pro fights. I think we spoke about that earlier. I'm gonna say that, yeah, from a professional perspective, I mean, it's not even, but let's not forget Morrell has a ton of amateur experience and pedigree, that Cuban pedigree. So I think a lot of that makes up for the lack of professional fights, in my opinion. And then Ronnie Shields had to do an interview with Boxing Scene in 2022, explain why Morrell was not ready to fight Benavidez after Morrell called out Benavidez's name. Brig, I get it, but that's 2 years ago, man.
Let's say let me get into that comment, because of course our program is in Spanish, so not this many people come through, right? Oh no, a lot of Hispanic come through, but like Brick probably don't understand our program. But I got Benavidez Senior in our program, and he started running because they come out with that interview about Ronnie saying that he wasn't ready. Ronnie never said that he wasn't ready. Ronnie's only explained, look, I just got this guy from Minnesota. They brought it to me, right? So I cannot put it against nobody big until I at least have 2 fights with him. And then I tell you if he's ready, right? So that happened. 2 fights came up. We was there, like always. And I interviewed Ronnie after 2 fights, and he said now he's ready. And then he explained why he was ready and all that. After that, they said, let's go get Benavidez now. And then they start working on like, no, it's no money for this fight now. We gotta build it, this and this and that. But Ronnie been saying after 2 fights after that interview, he been saying he's ready. But at that time, all he told them is, I don't know if the guy is ready because I just got him in my hands, you know? And normally, if you ask any coach, it take about 1 or 2 fights to know who you got in your hands and to adjust to your style and all that stuff. Same thing happened with Andy Cruz. You cannot put Andy Cruz in there with a big guy on the first fight because Boosie just got him in his hands, you know? They got to see what he got. But after 2 fights, now you ask Boosie, and Boosie said, put him against anybody, you know? But that's what people don't understand. But in that case, it was, you know, they brought all that excuses. And when Benavidez came to my show at that time, he got to leave the show because I brought all the interviews, you know, like, look, now Ronnie say ready. Now this one, the promoter say da. And then they start making noise, and then the fight start getting built and all that until now we are into the fight. Now we're going to the fight. Now we're going to see what's going on. Now we're going to find out what really going on.
I hear that. Brick Johnson. Obviously, Brick Johnson is going for Benavidez. So he's pulling out all the big guns here. But either way, it's going to be an interesting fight. And if you're watching this live on YouTube, make sure you hit that like button, as it will help with the visibility of the channel. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done so. I'm here with Cesar Seda from Boxeo Urbano Network. Let's pivot a little bit, Cesar. I know we talked about PBC and the cards that they're putting together, but we can't deny the cards that Turki Al-Sheikh and Riyadh Season are putting together. And I wanted to kind of touch on that because that's big news. That came out yesterday. And the card that I'm talking about is the proposed card here that's supposedly going to go down February 22nd, Riyadh Season, Saudi Arabia. This is 7 fights, Cesar. 7 fights that potentially look like they're like 50-50 fights. You know, maybe slightly, you know, someone else might be a little bit favored, but by no means is that, at least in my opinion, are there any clear-cut winner. Like, these are going to be good, entertaining fights. You know what I'm saying? And the best thing about this card is this guy is putting it together for, I think it's $26.
Yeah,
he's going to be charging pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy, man. What do you think about this card, man? This could be potentially one of the best cards we've seen ever, in my opinion.
Apparently, yes. It should be a great card. But we have to see what is going to happen between here and the February 22nd. But it's a great super card. Like you said, 50-50 fights, majority of them. When you give him the first look. But it's a couple of fights in there that are not really 50-50. Shakur and Floyd Schofield is not 50-50. It's not 50-50. Carlos Adames and Hassan Shariz is not 50-50. I was talking to Ismael Salas today. He got Carlos Adames on his training camp, and that's not 50-50. And I think the rest of them can be 50-50. We already know what B-Ball and Better BF did and all that. What you bring out about the Turki Al-Sheikh, and I was talking about it in my program today with my boy Anderson Perez over there in Boxeo Urbano Network, is that I've been hearing a lot of people, not a lot of people, but a few camps that have been out there already talking about, which is not everything is not what we seen. Everything is not what we seen. You get a good you supposedly get a good paycheck, but it's already trouble out there, and we gotta keep an eye on that because some of these people are being like Fundora denied to go and fight Virgil Ortiz out there because you don't want to take that trip, 20-hour trip or more to go out there. The weather, all the other stuff that is out there, and all that, the time change and the whole thing. And when you can do those fights over here, and the thing about it is, those fights are not in prime time in the United States. Those fights are during the day, so people don't get interest into it. So he's losing money no matter what. He's just putting his money out because he got plenty of money. So
they print money over there, man.
Yeah, whoever can get those bags of money, go get them. But that don't mean like a lot of people, they doing good to these people that are getting a little bigger money out there, which, like I said, is not all what we seen. It's not all what we seen. People talking about, oh, I'm making great money, but it's not like in the United States that you can see, because it got to be public, what are the purses that people are getting. Over there, they no rules. Over there, they got their own rules, The same thing with the doping test and the whole thing, and it's a lot of stuff that people don't get it. People just seeing that he's supposedly doing good because he's putting all these cards together, but boxing ain't running the same way, because we are not good fans like the UFC fans. If one of the, like, for instance, Jared Anderson, right? He lost against Bakoli, right? So right. People don't like him no. People like, it's not the same like when you was building it, and expecting and all this stuff.
Boxing fans are very fickle, man. Is what have you done for me lately? Like, there's a lot of fans that are gonna applaud him for taking that type of challenge this early in his career. Me personally, I'm one of those guys. I thought that was a huge step up that he didn't have to take, but he took it. I give him credit for that. But a lot of people, there are other fans that, he's not ready, or he was never at that level. It's twofold. I think that's a little unfair too.
Mm-hmm. And then then people don't understand that money, that money goes away too. That money, he probably made a good decent amount of money, right, in that fight, but he got to pay taxes. He got to pay 20% to Top Rank, and then now if he don't fight, money is gone. It's not like Usyk. Usyk get probably over $100 million in both of these fights, right? So that money ain't gone, but we have to see how they paying that money. If they paying it right there, right away, right there, or how it working, those are the things people don't get it, And if you look, people think that all these people are getting over $1 million in those fights. I bet you don't. I bet you don't. I bet you don't. I bet you they don't get $1 million.
But it's still probably the biggest paydays in their careers, probably, more than likely.
Shakur ain't getting no $3 million in that fight.
You don't think so?
No, he ain't getting that money. Show me the check. Show me the check. I've been around this boxing too long. Show me the check. Show me. Look, it's here. Like my weather used to do. Like right here. Look, 100 million. You know what I'm saying? Hey, but it's crazy. It sounds crazy until, if you, like I always say, time's gonna give me the reason, and then we're gonna see all these people talking. Oh, it wasn't like this. Look at Teofimo now saying, I never make $1 million yet. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, my boy, we gotta take it easy with these boys. Look at Carmel Mutton. That was the reason I left the boxing boys, and look at Carmel Mutton now, where he at.
Yeah, that was a bad look,
Suspended.
man. Coming in overweight.
Suspended.
Yeah, suspended.
Indefinitely.
You know,
Suspended.
yeah, that's a bad look. It was a bad look for a young guy with a ton of potential, man. You hate to see that shit, but this is the business of boxing, unfortunately. And one of my pet peeves, now that you say that, is that I remember why I've been watching boxing for a long time, man, and I don't remember this many people constantly coming in overweight, man. To me, that shit is unprofessional. Like, what's going on? People are doing it on purpose now for strategy. I don't get that part of it, man. I don't want to veer into another topic because I can go on and on about that. But as far as this card, I don't know. I like it. I like it at face value. I didn't really get in as in depth as you with the whole money deal. I just want to be entertained, and I think for the majority of these fights will be entertaining. I'm looking forward to the main event. You got a rematch. Anytime you got two guys that, the fans are split on who they think won, I think an encore is necessary, man. Hopefully the second one decides a clear winner. I like the fact that Schofield's calling out that smoke. He's a young guy. Nobody thinks he could win. But you know what? We need more young guys to say, I don't care if I got 18 fights and I'm 22 years old. I want that smoke. So I kind of feel that. I kind of dig that too. And I think the other fights are going to be interesting. But yeah, I like it. But we got a ton of fights this weekend.
Well, look at
this weekend.
Look at this. Going back to this great card, which is a great card, right? But when you look at this card on paper, right, in there, you can have 2 or 3 cards with those fights, right? Because a lot of those fights can be main event, and then develop more talent. Like Turkey, he can have, like, let's say, B-Ball and Beterbiev 2 is their own main event, right? And put Adames and Chariz, and let's say Sele Sang and Ajit Kayabel, those 3 fights, and then develop some more talent, and put other 3 fights of talent that is upcoming, to create other fights, right? And then put Daniel Dubois and Joseph Parker with Shakur and Virgil Ortiz in another card, right? And then that might give you, best value, and people been buying then 25 better than, and then here you waste all your shots right there. And then you have to create new stuff and new stories and new things, and it's not doing great for boxing. It's not doing good for boxing like people think, because people only look at the money now in my hands right there. They don't see the long shot, and it is what it is. This is a big mistake in here, which is disrespectful for boxing, no matter what. I don't know what the discussion been out there, is putting a Madrimov to fight now in December and back to back in February. Like disrespecting Bokachuk. You disrespecting Bokachuk. Saying like you ain't gonna win, or if you win, so, and that's disrespecting boxing. Turkey disrespect boxing, but they quick to raise their boys for other stuff, but not for this, right? Man, come on, man. Come on. You got to tell our boy Nestor to raise the boys about all that stuff. How you gonna put Bokachuk against Madrimov, and then Madrimov against Virgil Ortiz 2 months apart in Christmas?
Yeah, crazy. That's crazy. And that's the reason why I don't think Madrimov makes it to that card. I think that this fight is going to be there's no way he's going to take some punishment. I mean, Boyacek is going to come to fight, and he's going to either going to get cut or he's going to get hurt, to the fact that you're not going to be able to make that fight in 8 weeks. I don't think that fight happens. And which is why I don't understand why they didn't look at a guy like Xander Zayas, who wanted that smoke. But from a business perspective, I get it. I guess they don't think that he's a big enough of a name. But shout out to Xander, man, because Xander reached out for that. He wanted that smoke, answered the call in a minute. I interviewed him, at Caribbean Royale. And I remember asking him, like, when do you think that you're going to be ready, for a title shot? And Cesar, he didn't even let me finish before he said, I'm ready now. I'm just waiting for the call, and obviously what he did this week proves that. So shout out to Xander. He's going to get his opportunity, but
they all going to say that
he'd be the next guy.
They all going to say that. But
absolutely,
God save Xander. So they all going to say that, but he ain't ready for that. He ain't ready for bedroom. He ain't ready.
I hear that. But it looks like
I hear you. But God always work magic. So he said, nah. But they probably
might be a blessing in disguise, are you saying?
They probably bring him. They probably bring him now that they realize that Bokachuk and Madrimov, because imagine that right now Madrimov by mistake knock out Bokachuk in the first round. What people gonna say? People be like, "Oh, that was planned." You know, they pay him to drop. You know, and that's gonna hurt boxing. You know, so because everybody knows that Madrimov and Bokachuk gonna go at it. You know, it cannot be a knockout.
It's like a tremendous fight.
Exactly, and that's gonna take a lot from both. So and put him back in February, crazy.
That won't happen. Like I said, I'll go out on a limb and say that I don't think that fight happens. I think they find somebody else, you know, as a replacement to Virgil. But overall, the card, you know, is pretty solid. I think the chat is pretty unanimous so far. Everybody's picking Benavidez, you know. So again, you're gonna have a lot of receipts, you know, if Morrell pulls this off.
I just want them back here because I'm gonna do my tour, and I just want them all back here, giving it to me when I do, you know. I don't miss the big ones. I don't fail on big ones. Yeah.
You'll definitely be back here. But this weekend, man, we got a lot of boxing. We got a big card in Puerto Rico. We got one in Phoenix, Arizona. Which one are you going to be at? Because I know you're going to be at one of them.
Phoenix, Arizona. I got to go with my boy, Robesi Ramirez, so we got people in Puerto Rico too. We got people in Puerto Rico. We got people in Puerto Rico as we speak. I already got a content from Lee and Paro and them out there. I'm gonna be posting it this week in my page. But definitely we covering Robesi Ramirez and Divino Espinoza, which is the biggest fight of this weekend. It's no Valdez and Navarrette. The biggest fight is Robesi and Rafael Espinoza El Divino. Yes, sir.
Before we get to that fight this Friday, I just want to give a shout out to the Alien King, Aaron Aponte, young, up and coming junior welterweight. He's fought at Caribbean Royale. I know you know who he is. He trains out of Miami KO Fitness Gym. He's going to be fighting this Friday at the Hard Rock Seminole Casino, Hollywood, Florida. So, you know, if you're in the area, make sure you go and check out my boy. He's a really, really good kid with a lot of talent. If you need tickets, hit up Mr. B, MISTRB at IG. He's got tickets for everybody. I just wanted to make sure, you know, that I call that out. But then Saturday, like I said, let's start with that fight with Robesi and Rafael Espinoza. A rematch. Obviously, the first one, Espinoza won it by majority decision. This is for the WBO featherweight title. And I heard you say on your show yesterday that this is the biggest fight. This is a crossroads fight for Robesi Ramirez, the biggest fight of his career. Why do you say that?
If he lose, it's over. He go into the Pro Box League, you know.
But he's only got 14 fights. Oh, I'm sorry, 14. 16 fights?
He's boxing. He like Divino, he can lose tomorrow, Saturday, and I'm pretty sure they said no, he didn't make 26. Now let's give him a chance in 30, and they get him a fight. If Robesi lose, it's over. You know, they know they rebuilding. He got to find his way. You know, he got to find his way. You know, or they just gonna give him fights like here and them. You know. But with the youngsters, you know, and see what he do. And also it's not if he lose, it's how he lose. Because for me, I think that Espinoza coming big, you know, this time. But he been training his ass out, and Salas told us today that they gonna take it. So that's what make the fight interesting, you know. So and then so that's one thing that I say it like Robesi need this one more than Espinoza, you know. So
Yeah,
but out there
no,
is
I agree with that.
whoever wanted more, you know. But I think Espinoza going to take him between 6 and 8. He's done, you know. His DNA in boxing, it cannot be solved in a few months. You know, he brought that DNA because I was telling him from the beginning of his career in the United States, like, you need to get a personal trainer, you know, like a big training, like you need to get that pump, you know, that running, you know, that pump. And he only was basing everything on his skills, you know, because he can beat people on the skill. And now he realized it late that he didn't understood because Robesi Salas told him at the beginning, you can be 122 pounder and go from there, and he didn't want to train, you know. So do you think that that's going to be resolved in one training? It might be. He need it, and I know he got the power to get it. Now that Divino also want it, so who wanted more, you know? And Divino got the skills also. He's big. He's coming big
He's
this
a big
time.
guy.
So
Hmm.
the other one, Navarrete and Valdez, you know, is a different story. But on this one, Robesi needed more than anything. Robesi need this one.
Well, he's coming off a spectacular performance in Miami. I think it was. What was it, back in July? Uppercut and a TKO. I mean, that was a great performance, and I'm glad. I'm glad he got this rematch because you know how sometimes Top Rank be doing. You know, he's going to get a opportunity to get that title back. But it'd be interesting to see it. Personally, you know, I'm picking. I like Ramirez in the rematch. I do, but you know, again, we'll see how this one plays out. Espinoza, like, you know, he's a special talent as well. So it wouldn't surprise me if he won the second one. But either way, I think you're right. I think this is probably going to be the fight of the night. I'm a little fearful that the main event is going to be a little bit like, or basically a carbon copy of the first one with Navarrete and Valdez not being able to figure him out. How do you see that fight playing out?
It depends how we got to see Navarrete in the scale. We got to see Navarrete in the scale because I don't think Navarrete. I think it's going to be a lot of trouble in the scale on both fights, and I'm ready to see that scale time. You know, because Navarrete don't give 30 no more. I saw him at the fight with Concenciao. I was there, and I show pictures of him before the weigh in, and I told everybody he ain't ready. You know, the weight is trouble. You know, I'm looking for it right now. I'm gonna send it to you on the thing. But yeah, but I'm waiting on that one. I'm gonna tell you when I see him in the scale. You know, when I see him in the scale, I'm gonna tell you exactly. I gotta wait for the Navarrete and Valdez fight. I had to see what's happening in the scale that day because Navarrete might come overweight. You know, Navarrete might come overweight, and you say it early. Like the big problem in boxing today is that people don't worry no more about the weight. Nobody's doing nothing. You know, so
No, exactly. Nobody's being held accountable. You know, you got to start hitting these guys heavy, heavy, heavy in their pockets. You know, or fights got to start getting canceled. You know,
mhm.
fights got to start getting canceled. Either way, it's got to clean it up. But I've just put on the screen for those of you guys watching this Saturday night. This is going to be on ESPN. A really good doubleheader. Both rematches between Rafael Espinoza and Robesi Ramirez, Cuban Olympian, and you have the rematch between Oscar Valdez and Emmanuel Navarrete. Both are for titles, and I think that's going to be a really, really good card. You know, I mean, you could go no wrong, Cesar. You could go no wrong with what you picked because we also have on the same night, and this is, I love boxing, but sometimes this is the type of stuff that kind of gets to me because I'm like, damn, why can't they just split this, man? Put one
Mhm.
this weekend and the one next weekend. Now I got to get two TVs
Oh,
up,
it's
which is no
two
problem. But
fights. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, these are going back to back, and this one, the headliner is going to be Liam Paro. This one's going to be for the IBF lightweight title. Liam Paro is coming off a huge win against Subriel Matias in Puerto Rico to take his title, and now he's going back to Puerto Rico to defend, which I think is pretty badass against Richardson Hitchins, 18-0, 7 knockouts. I think this fight is going to be good. I want to get your take on this one. But I also want to talk about the Christopher Diaz fight. Pitufo Diaz is going to be fighting against Henry Lebron. And I interviewed Pitufo at Legacy Fitness Gym. Shout out to Nelson Rodriguez. And man, I've never seen him more focused, man. For a fight. He's working with Jorge Linares. And I got a clip here that I took while I was there. And look at this. I mean, he's knocking mitts off, man. He's knocking mitts off, which we spoke about afterwards in the interview. But I'm just saying, he looks fit. He looks comfortable at the weight. He looks focused. He's older. He just turned 30 years old, and he's ready, man. But he's fighting a tough dude, man. Henry Lebron, undefeated. This is a fight that I'm really looking forward to because Christopher told me that this is, like you said with Robesi, this is a crossroads fight. This could change his life and get him another world title. How do you see that one playing out?
Moncho, Lebron, Henry, he is the most skillful of both. No matter what, Moncho, for me, and I've been saying it in my program, Moncho is the skill by skill, the best Puerto Rican out there. Skill by skill. Moncho Henry Lebron just don't care about his career much. He just care about fight, and that's it. And so, for some reason, people don't like him. Media don't like him. Boxing don't like him, but he keep winning. So he's the more skillful. He should beat Christopher Diaz, Pitufo, on the paper. Now, with the Tennessee and all that other stuff that Pitufo bringing, I talked to him also in Orlando, and when you see him, the way he's concentrating, Moncho cannot take the eye of the ball at all, like not for even a second, because Pitufo can take it and change the fight, So it can be an upset on this one, or it can be a shutout from Henry Lebron, But I think the Puerto Rico factor is going to benefit Christopher Pitufo Diaz. The crowd and the whole thing is gonna benefit Christopher Pitufo Diaz. Like I said, Moncho is not a media guy. He's not selling. He's not, but he's the more skillful. He got skills as hell. He got the best skills out there is Moncho Lebron. But people don't like him, so he got his fans, but like the main crowd is gonna be with Pitufo, so that can change any fight. So, like you said, on this card, that's gonna be the interesting fight. Also, you have to count that this is a better undercard than the one in Arizona. The undercard here, even though a lot of people don't know these guys, is a big undercard, including Dr. Cito, Yanquiel Rivera, which is a great guy. And then is another undefeated guys, Wilito Ortiz and Taz Colon. Taz Colon is from Orlando. He trained in Orlando too. And that's two undefeated prospects that are putting everything on the line, and that's going to take the fight. That's going to be one of the fights of the nights in there. And the Liam Paro, all the fights in that card are good. They got Halil Tackett in there with a good guy from Puerto Rico.
Yep. Jaleel Hackett is on this card.
Yeah, and who's the opponent? Cheito Roman, right? Roman? Isn't that Roman? Yeah. Cheito Roman is the opponent of Jalil Tackett, and that's a good fight, dude. So all those fights are good fights, And Hitchins and Paro, I can tell you one thing. Paro is having trouble with the weight. So I can tell you that.
Really?
Well, I don't know. I don't think but we'll see. We'll see what happens. But Paro and Hitchins, it should be good. And people is with Paro because he beat Subriel. So in Puerto Rico, they know Paro more than Hitchins. So, and people in Puerto Rico, the fans don't like the arrogance of Hitchins. So they're gonna go for Paro and Paro. So he got history in Puerto Rico. He beat Jomar Alamo too. And so it's an interesting card. This is an interesting card with a better undercard than the one in top rank. So, but like you said, both on the same goddamn night. That
Mm.
we don't know which one to, but we had to go with Robesi no matter what.
See, I'm lucky because in my man cave in the garage, I got 2 TVs. So one will be on one and one will be on the other. I'll be hanging out. But at the end of the day, like I said, I hate any weekend without boxing. So there's going to be a weekend without boxing where you could have just put one of these and then we have boxing. But I agree with you. I think the Box Lab, the young super featherweight kid, Carlos De Leon.
Carlos De Leon is in there
too, right?
He's in there too. Yeah. Great
knockout.
great.
Shout out to Box Lab.
Yeah.
Shout out to Box Lab, another good young prospect. So you got a lot of good prospects at Box Lab Promotions, man. Shout out to them. But I don't know. I mean, I'm split on the Paro Hitchins fight. I did not know about the weight issue. So that kind of changes things for me a little bit. I may lean towards Hitchins in this fight. But again, like you said, it's gonna take a special fighter to go in there in the lion's den. Because, like you said, it's almost like he's fighting a Puerto Rican.
But also,
he's gonna have it.
Sorry to interrupt you, but both of them actually having trouble because Hitchins just say that in the last one he got to get a nutritionist, right? But what I know is on the Paro side. I know the Paro side, and I even got video and all that. They got to Puerto Rico, and they doing their thing because they need to lose a lot of weight, but in the Hitchins side. So I think it's going to be like another one like Valdez and Navarrete that I want to see the way in, to see for what I know for the inside, what's going on, what's going on in there.
No, I got you. And for the people that are watching, again, December 7th, this one is on the Zone. The other one's going to be on ESPN. So you got 2 TVs. Make sure you're playing them on 2 different TVs so you don't miss any of the action. A great, great night of boxing this Saturday. And then next Friday, actually, December 13th, we will be at the Caribbean Royale during the WBA convention. There's a really, really good card that is promoted by Box Lab Promotions, a most valuable promotion. That's a Prospects 10 card, if I'm not mistaken. And the headliner will be Antonio Vargas against Winston Guerrero. I think that's going to be a barn burner. I interviewed Vargas last week, and he's a great young guy who's very focused. So I'm definitely looking forward to this. Before you jumped on, and before I let you go, Cesar, before you jumped on, I just touched a little bit on the Tank Davis and Lamont Roach press conference today. And I was just telling the viewers that, like a lot of fight fans, this fight really doesn't excite me because I would prefer to see Tank fight a bigger name. I just think that I've seen this movie before, a smaller guy moving up in weight. I think that you're going to see the same thing that we saw against Garcia, the same thing we're going to see against against the other guy he fought, Frank Martin. And I think eventually Tank will break him down and knock him out in the later rounds, 7-8 rounds. But what do you think about that fight real quick?
I got the same feeling you got. It's not like we didn't call for this fight. But what's going to save this card is going to be the undercard. They coming with big things for the undercard. So we'll see.
If they're going to charge $80, because PBC is charging $80 probably. I mean, that's usually the norm.
And we got to see what's going to happen on Thursday because today press conference did much, So we have to see what's going to happen on Thursday. Yeah.
Thursday's in their area, right? Baltimore, DC
in Washington,
area?
Yeah, in Washington, DC,
DC, which is where they're from. I hope again. I was just hoping that something happened today that pulled me in and go, okay. I think but then then you got Tank Davis saying that he wants to retire after 3 more fights or something. That kind of took me by surprise. Either way, at the end of the day, hopefully I get a little bit more excited as the time comes. Right now, I don't like it. I want to see him in there against Shakur Stevenson, Tio, the big names. He's 30 years old. When is he going to start? When is he going to start realizing that people are questioning his resume? He's a tremendous talent. I like Tank, and that's the reason why I'm hard on him, because I want to see him fight the best. But we live in a day and age where if you criticize your favorite fighter, you're hating. I'm not hating, bro. I just want to see him fight better guys. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, bro, this was an absolute blast, man. This was an absolute blast. Why don't you tell my viewers, man, where they can find you on Boxeo Urbano Network? You guys do your show every night, right?
Every night, 2 hours in there, 2 or more hours. And you see, I don't have no boys. That's why I apologize to these people. But we'll be back. We'll be back. I'm going to make it a habit. When I get my boys back after this break, I'll be back here. We'll be back here. We're going to be pushing the Hangout more, and we're going to work it and bring you all this information with these the people around and all that. But yeah, we have Boxeo Urbano Network every night. If you Hispanic or if you want to see the real information in there, we got it. And we got original videos. We don't take videos from nobody else. We got our own original videos because you see me, I'm always at the action. I'm in there. So we waiting for that second press conference for Morrell and Benavidez, and more stuff that is coming for the end of the year. They just told us in our program that is Erislandy Lara is coming before, like, by March. He'll be back. So get ready for them rumors and all that, and we'll see what is going on in here.
Oh, man, I love it, man. And like I said, man, anytime you come to the Hangout Spot, you're family, man. So I expect you to come back. A lot more often. I expect to do these shows at least twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9:00, where we're gonna rock out. We're gonna break down fights. We're gonna talk rumors and stuff. And again, if you haven't checked out my boy Boxeo Urbano Network, I just saw somebody in the chat earlier.
Here you go. Hold on. Get in there. Get him back.
Oops, sorry about that. I don't know what happened there. A little technical difficulty, but we're back. But I was saying that somebody in the chat earlier said that they subscribed to your channel, so you got at least one subscriber from this show today, man. But now you guys deserve it. Great interviews, great content in Spanish. They're all over it. Not just Spanish fighters, all fighters. So make sure you check them out. But Cesar, appreciate it, bro. Get better. Because you sound, you need some rest, man. And I know you're traveling tomorrow.
Yep.
Have a good time in Arizona. Enjoy the cards. We'll catch up after that, so you can loop me in on a couple of things, hopefully. And we'll rock out again.
I'll see you next week in Orlando.
Yep, and you will see me in Orlando, man. I'll see you there, brother.
All right, brother. Have a good night. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yep, you too. There you have it. That's my boy Cesar Seda, and again, he's all over it, man. I mean, rumors, stories. I mean, he's breaking it down quick, and real information. These aren't just rumors. I mean, the information that he's getting, they're coming straight from the fighters. They're coming straight from the trainers, and there's nobody that is around, Spanish fighters more than Cesar Seda. And I appreciate him, especially when I'm out there, I'm hustling, I'm doing my thing. But man, this was a great first show. We got Daniel Rubin, my boy Danny. I don't know who that's meant for because this is Johnny, not Danny. Best in the game. Well, you didn't get the first one right with Danny, but you definitely got that one. That's what we are striving for. So I appreciate it. We're striving to take this channel to the next level. This was a great show. We're going to be rocking out again, this Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're actually looking at having a fighter, light heavyweight title contender, Anthony Sims Jr. He is the cousin of Floyd Mayweather Jr. He's going to be joining me here, and we're going to talk a little bit about his future and kind of get his take on the light heavyweight division. Obviously, we talked about Morrell and David Benavidez. Bivol and Benavidez, they're fighting a rematch on the 22nd, so I kind of want to get his take on the state of the division and obviously where he stands in the division as well. So don't miss it this Thursday night, 9 p.m. We're going to be rocking out with Anthony Sims Jr. here at the Hangout Spot Live. But what can I say, man? For everybody that came to rock out with me on this first episode, all I can say is I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. And one more time, man, if you have not hit that like button, make sure you hit that like button. You smash that like button, and it will help with the visibility of the channel. We got to get this channel out to more people so that they know what we're rocking. We got to continue to share. Tell a friend to tell a friend. We need some more subscribers if we want to get the bigger names, to come on and visit us here at the Hangout Spot and get the chat involved and ask fighters and trainers questions. We got to make sure we get more subscribers and we continue to grow our content, and continue to make our street cred even that much better. So far, we're off to a good start. And that is all because of you guys, my viewers. So I appreciate the love and I appreciate the support. And this is your boy Johnny signing out from the Hangout Spot. And I'll see everybody Thursday night at 9 p.m. Peace out.